In spite of all the claims made at cocktail parties and social gatherings all across the world, our biggest organ is our skin. In a grown man, you will have 19 square feet of skin weighing 8 pounds. A piece of skin the size of a quarter will have 3 million cells, 50 nerve endings, and 3 feet of blood vessels. And our skin, while performing many functions, perhaps its most important function is serving as the gateway for touch. Touch being one of our 5 senses. And in fact, it's the first sense that develops in us, and it's the last sense that leaves us in old age. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guest, today, in the time that I have, I want to share with you some of my thoughts and some of my experiences related to touch and what I believe is the value and the importance of it, and also share with you some of the things that I found out about touch during my research. I mentioned that touch is the first sense that we develop, and that happens at about 8 weeks. And when we're born, the first way we experience this world is through touch. We're squeezed out, popped out, spanked, and held. And that's our first experience outside the womb. And this sense of touch is important for our development, especially early in life. And not just our physical development, but our emotional development, the development of our brain, and most assuredly, our attitudes and our behaviors towards other people later in life. And it's even more important with premature born babies. One study showed that these preemies that were born, that were massaged and held, they gained weight 50% faster. Their metabolism stabilized faster, and on average they were released from the hospital 6 days earlier, all because they were touched and massaged. So it's an important thing. And you remember, you see in babies, when we were babies and toddlers, we're running around, putting things in our mouth, touching them. We're experiencing our environment through touch. Now, as we grow and we age and we become adults, the need for touch, while maybe not as important, is certainly still a vital part of our life. Fortunately, we don't get enough touch. And part of it's cultural. Years ago, there was a study, and it basically focused on watching people in coffee shops around the world, and it recorded how many times they touched each other in an hour. In Puerto Rico, it was 180 times an hour. Places like France and Spain, 110 times an hour. The United States was 2 times an hour. In England, 0 times. Which I think explains why when I was in England a few years back, I couldn't get a woman to talk to me. So, it wasn't me. Now, Spain, on the other hand, me gusta mucho España, my friends. That's a good place to visit. Another reason why is because of technology. We become more disconnected. Things that we used to do on a daily basis, we take care of online or through automated systems. So these little, what we think may be incidental contacts and human interaction, we don't get. And we suffer as a result. Another reason is because we become sort of a touch-phobic society. Unfortunately, people who have been the victims of bad touch or assaults or molestations, that gets played out more in our society, so we become paranoid about touch. Teachers are afraid to put their arm around a student because they don't want it to be taken the wrong way. We warn our children about stranger danger and all these bad touch. And it has a negative impact because we don't have as much touch in our society. And we need it, even as adults. And during my research, I came across this film. It's called Touch, the Forgotten Sense. And part of the research that they showed was there was a group of women that had been the victims of sexual assault. And as part of their therapy, they introduced massage. And for many of them, it was the first time they had experienced good touch. And they were able to measure a decrease in their depression and stress hormones in their body just through massage. And that kind of hit close to me because, as you know, I'm a massage therapist, but what you don't know is a few days a week, I work in-house as a massage therapist at a gentleman's club here in town. I work on the entertainers. And I hesitate to tell people that because generally when I do, it's ooh, or the guys will say, do you need an assistant? But the reality is those places are extremely negative. The women that work there do not like what they're doing. In fact, they quite often medicate themselves just to get through their shift. And many of them have been the victims of sexual assault. And when a new girl sees me, they keep their distance. And eventually one of the girls will say, Brady's a nice guy, you should get a massage from me, he's really good. And when they do get a massage, maybe it's a 10-minute shoulder massage or a neck massage, I've experienced many times the impact that just that short time that I'm working on them has. I've even had them cry and get emotional on the table. I even had a girl that I worked on for a while, and she found out that I had a girlfriend, and she came to me and she was laughing. And she's like, Brady, all this time I thought you were gay, because I never had a man touch me like that. And it was a compliment, but it was kind of sad too, to think that. She'd never been touched by a man like, unless it was someone who was a predator. You know, it was the first time it was non-threatening and nurturing in nature. So touch is powerful. It's the first sense that we get when we're born. It's the last sense that leaves us in old age. I encourage you not to let it be the forgotten sense in your life. And all of you, please, keep in touch. Mr. Toastmaster.